Hi again, and welcome to the Yetis Without Borders podcast. My name is Patrick, and today I'm joined by Zach and Tim, and we're going to discuss the 2016 remake/reboot of Ghostbusters. You can get that text message. Take your time.
I got on Do Not Disturb.
Okay,
I intended to do that.
That happens to the best of us. I'm going to put mine in airplane mode. I'll box it.
I just got it on vibrate.
Yeah.
I can just text silently.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
So Do Not Disturb does. Not even vibrate.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever done that on my phone, but
It's good for movies.
I can see
And it
that.
doesn't even light up.
Oh.
If I hated a movie, like, maybe when it's a movie I'm not really liking, and I get a text, and I'm like, should I just look at it? Like, should I be that guy who tries to sneak it out of my pocket?
I do that
If I don't
all the
even
time.
feel it vibrate, I'm like, then I don't even know, because who cares? If I don't text for 2 hours, who cares?
That's
I'm
fair.
not the president.
I'm
you
going to have
know?
to look up how to do that, because I've never really...
It's just the little, on the slide-up menu, it's the little move.
Well, I like getting text messages during movies because I try and guess who's texted me and what the context is.
That's fair.
That's my fun little game. It kind of takes me away from the movie pretty much completely, but I don't care.
That's what it is. It pulls me out because especially like the old phones would just keep vibrating. Like I remember like back before my smartphones, it was just the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. They weren't great. But, you know, it was fun. I liked old phones. I miss my old phones.
I miss my old Motorola flip phone.
Yeah.
Was it the Razor?
I still have an old Razor in my room.
So I had a Razor, yeah.
Yeah.
Made from, like airplane metal or whatever?
Things were tough, yeah.
Yeah, ridiculous. Ridiculous. Alright, well, that's a successful 2 minutes. Well done.
Made it difficult to watch porn on them, though.
Well, yeah, that's what... Could you even do videos back then?
I don't think so.
It was really just pictures.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah, Sue's a slow burner.
Yeah. Is that what you call it? Never mind. Okay. I don't know. Okay, so before we get into the podcast and the discussions of the movie, anyone seen anything good lately? Anyone have anything entertaining to talk about?
I got All-Star Batman #1, which is Scott Snyder's new book. He stopped doing the main Batman book. He did a lot of the New 52, like the Court of Owls and Death of the Family stuff, but he's doing a new book. He's not with Greg Capullo anymore, who did most of the art for that one, he's the Spawn guy. It's kind of the cartoony stuff. I enjoy that. So now he's switching artists every arc. He's doing a Two-Face arc with John Romita Jr. It's really cool. He's like he's trying to take Two-Face to some sort of mysterious house they've set up that's gonna like burn the Two-Face personality out of Harvey, and like Harvey wants him to do this, but Two-Face puts out this like giant bounty on Batman's head. So there's like all these cool mercenaries coming after him. Loved the first issue. I honestly I have some mixed feelings about his regular Batman run, but this first issue I'm really liking. So All-Star Batman, would recommend it. No, first issue just came out. Monthly book, so don't have to keep up with it too strenuously. They're doing a lot of like stuff shipping every 2 weeks now. So
Now, I might not be a pro Batman guy, but don't you think they learned the first time that burning Two-Face is not the best way to go?
Unless they burn the other side of his body.
they're gonna they say burn him out. I think it's like
Like a psychiatric.
it's gonna be like Harvey's childhood home. I don't really know.
Oh, so it's not...
some sort of solution they've set up to get rid of the Two-Face personality.
So it's not full-on burn face?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, that was a poor choice of words when referring to Two-Face. Who does have a burnt half face? They gave him a cool red suit too. I liked it a lot.
Interesting.
And he's like an information broker. Scott Snyder's good at giving the old bad villains a good like new twist, so they're actually threats. And I think Two-Face being an information broker who kind of uses the systems he set up as a prosecutor against the city is good. I liked it. Anyways, would recommend.
No, that's fair. I'll give that a go. I've been jamming on some DC stuff lately. Anything for you?
Obviously, I saw Suicide Squad, but that led me to watch Batman vs. Superman Ultimate Edition. The movie was, 29 minutes longer than it was previously. It spelled out a few things a little bit better, but I even liked the original. It just added to the whole experience. They put in a new character, Jenna Malone. I don't know what her name is in the movie, but she's in it for like 5 minutes.
She's Lois Lane's assistant, right?
Yes.
There was a rumor going around for a long time that she was going to be Barbara Gordon, and then finally when this came out, we learned that was not true, that she's not playing Barbara Gordon. Although apparently there is a little reference. Did you notice the Oracle thing in the Ultimate Edition?
I did not.
There's a bit, I haven't watched the movie, but I've seen the screen grab where Bruce is like looking at a back computer file, and then there's a little thing in the corner that says like the Oracle system or something, which is Barbara Gordon's post getting shot persona. She's the Oracle, so
Yeah.
little maybe an indication the Killing Joke, similar to Death in the Family with Jason Todd dying, did happen in the movies. But anyways, I haven't seen it yet. I've heard it's good. I've heard it's improved some things, like you said.
Yeah, it certainly clarified some of the things that I didn't necessarily have issue with, but I felt that they could have explored more. The movie is it's guilty of jumping around a little and not clarifying enough, but in going into it, I knew that this was what they were going for, rather than having another backstory like every superhero movie these days. Although I do have to clarify, and this is an ongoing thing for me. I'm going to talk about Bruce Wayne's parents getting killed because it always happens. It must have happened 10 times on screen by now, and I feel like at one point in the movie he references the dream he had that has them getting killed. I thought it would have been better for them to skip the first 3 or so minutes of the movie that has them getting killed again. Because all they did later in the movie was they rehashed the entire scene.
I definitely agree that I've seen the Waynes die enough. I did actually like the Batman v Superman. I feel like that was maybe one of my favorite Wayne's dyings, but I agree, we didn't need to see it. I just wanted to ask, so do you feel like the Ultimate Cut, was that the cut that they should have put out, or do you think they were better to go with the slightly shorter cut? Not really necessary, more for like hardcore fans to see just a little extra stuff.
The theatrical version was the right choice for them.
One.
Yeah, it didn't add enough to justify a movie over 3 hours long. It comes in at, I think, 3 hours and 2 minutes.
It was already like a little too long, I think, in theaters, and so I would agree with that.
Or do we think that they could have cut 29 minutes out of the movie and put in these 29 minutes to make it more of a complete movie?
No.
No?
I
Because, I mean, they could have gotten, you said 3 minutes yourself, like, just not that long ago, at the beginning of the movie, easily cut that out. So that's only 26 more minutes out of 2 hours and 30 minutes that they need to cut. I mean, I only saw the movie once. It was fine. I didn't think it was amazing. I'm not sure. But I know that there was a lot of... It seemed like there was a lot of filler for this movie, I'm not going to lie. And all the stuff that happened with Lois Lane, I just can't find myself giving a shit about.
That's what I was going to say. I actually like Amy Adams as Lois, but I think her subplot about finding the bullets and tracing them down and connecting them to Lex, like, we kind of already knew Lex was not up to good stuff. That would probably be what I would cut. And I would have had an action sequence, like, about a third of the way through the movie.
Yeah,
that's, I think, what it needs.
There was no action in the Ultimate Edition. There was nothing new along those lines. So to cut out and put in the stuff from the Ultimate would simply give you the same feel. Now, if they cut out the excess for no reason, is Amy Adams naked in the tub and she doesn't even show her boobies, and I'm more concerned about the tenant downstairs who's going to have to deal with the flooding. Right? That's just inconsiderate.
I want to see a movie with
Clark
that
Kent.
guy because
Yeah.
it's played by like someone really, really weird, like Chris Evans, who's like more attractive than Superman, and he's just like an old man type thing. He's like, "What are you doing?"
Oh, I assume it's J.K. Simmons.
I had J.K. Simmons in my head. And
Yeah,
like, oh!
yeah, he's super pissed because why is this happening? Why do they always have Pootie in the full bathtub?
That was a cute moment, but I agree. They just wrecked those floors.
Yeah,
I guess Clark can super clean it, but you know.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
He can just
push
around and clean it up. He doesn't care.
But I imagine he's a super lover, so you have to consider that he's given the full meal deal to Lois Lane, so he doesn't have time to be super cleaning.
He can do
he's
it
super loving
in between thrusts. He's that quick.
Oh, I guess you wouldn't even know he's gone.
Yeah. But I mean that brings me to the Mallrats discussion of like, is his semen super strong? Like, would it kill her?
Oh, I assume he has to pull out.
I assume he's only on bottom and then pushes her off.
Oh, he doesn't push. He flicks and then she flies off.
Yeah.
But yes, it's probable.
Yeah, because there's no like every part of him
like speeding bullet, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the kryptonite condom would obviously kill him, or at least make him much less of a man than he already
If you
is.
just gave him I think he'd be fine.
Unless there's kryptonite on the outside.
Or if
and latex on the inside.
Realistically, kryptonite's just in the room, would probably be fine.
Or he could do the All-Star, he could go the other way, where like an All-Star Superman, he gives her a potion that makes her super,
Oh, yeah.
and then they're just good to go.
Yeah, but then they'd probably like wreck the world.
They would have to go up to the moon.
Yeah. Just like railing for days. That'd be
Does that happen in Hancock? No, I don't think it does. There's something where that happens, where there's two superpowered people having sex and they just destroy everything. I don't think.
No, it's not Hancock because Charlize Theron's married to
Jason Bateman.
Yeah, loser guy from Arrested Development. And I know that there was alluding to them having slept together once.
They were like former lovers, I think.
Yeah.
Hancock was a weird movie.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
They're like Greek, they're gods or something. They don't really explain.
Yeah.
It.
Yeah, I kind of want to watch it again.
And they're reborn repeatedly throughout time.
Yeah, and he like forgets who he is, but she remembers him. Weird movie's probably the best way to describe it. I didn't hate it though.
It wasn't thought out enough. I thought they could have gone a little further.
There was sort of some behind the scenes, like that movie was one thing, and then they kind of rewrote the ending. I remember liking the villain in that, the guy who sort of had an origin story in the movie where he got his hand chopped off, and then he came back at the end and it was like this super villain after being. I always love that when he's just a regular crook.
Yeah.
And some crazy thing happens and he becomes a bad, like a super villain.
And there was discussion of making sequels to it.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be a whole thing. That's the
Yeah.
first black superhero. No, Steel beat him. That's I
Shaq
forgot.
is way more important.
Weird. Steel's the DC superhero.
Yeah, he was based off Superman, wasn't he?
He was one of the 4 Supermen that came up during Death of Superman after he like picked up the mantle. He was the only one that wasn't literally pretending to be Superman. He was just like, I'm inspired by him.
Speaking of Death of Superman, obviously at the end of Batman Superman, we're faced with the tragedy of Superman no longer being with us. But maybe I wasn't watching the theatrical version as closely as I should have. At the end, there's a scene where the camera is looking down the barrel of a coffin, and Lois has just thrown dirt on it, and it rises. I clearly didn't see that both times I saw it in the theater, and I thought to myself, because I remember thinking it would be cool if they made the dirt move. And then and then in the Ultimate Edition, I saw the dirt move, so I was like, okay, cool, because obviously we know Superman's going to come back, but I thought they should have done it, and they did, so I was just drunk. But anyways, tying into Death of Superman, apparently in this new Justice League movie that's going to be coming out, obviously Superman is back. He's going to be wearing full-on black costume.
That's what we were talking about. That
pictures on the internet.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah. It looks like he's going to have long hair.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't look too
I've
closely
heard that
at
long hair one is fake. That's been floating around.
It could very well be, but the black costume is pretty cool.
Cavill himself tweeted out the black costume. Right?
Yeah,
so that one's probably true.
Yeah, the only long hair.
I could see him initially having. Yeah, that would have been great. Superman Lives. You've seen those photos, right? I think he also has the black suit in that, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah, because that one's very specifically.
Yeah.
Speaking of Superman Lives, Kevin Smith is directing an episode of Supergirl this season.
Oh, really?
They named it Supergirl Lives, like as a tribute to him. And he had this this whole thing where he was really all choked up about it that they would do that for him because that was like his canceled Superman script from 2 decades ago, and they were just
fucking long.
that's what I like about, for better or worse, the Arrow shows. Like, they're run by fans, whether they get it right all the time. These people do actually care.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to give credit to Kevin Smith. His movies are a little childish for my taste at this point in time. I used to quite enjoy them, but him being behind the camera is really good. Because he has an eye for it. He gets it. I'm just glad he's not helming scripting. Because he would use way too many big words and say nothing at the same time for 2 hours.
I could see that. I also, I'm not the biggest proponent of Kevin Smith. I mean, some movies he's done are really good, and many of them are really, really not. But him doing comic book movies seems like it'd be, a great thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people love Joss Whedon, and that's cool. I think Avengers, it's being rated as, the best superhero movie of all time for, whatever reasons.
He did a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, and I think Kevin Smith, possibly, the only Hollywood guy that's more of a nerd or loser than,
He's written comic books, so him and Whedon are probably the only two that have actually written comic books.
Yeah.
And, pretty acclaimed ones from both of them. They were both
And
Kevin Smith has a really acclaimed Daredevil run and
Mm-hmm.
like the Green Arrow run, like outside of Mike Grell, who kind of created the character. People usually talk about Kevin Smith's run. He directed an episode of Flash last season. It was very good.
Oh, really?
He did.
I think he did a stint, 3 or 4. If I
He
recall.
only did one. He did.
Oh, okay.
He did the one where Barry goes into the Speed Force, the Runaway Dinosaur, I believe it was called. But the title makes sense in the context of the episode.
I actually did see that
Yeah.
episode. I watched Flash sporadically.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
a tie-in to the
I
Disney
thought there
movie,
was
The
gonna
Good
be
Dinosaur.
one, but no, it's like a book his mom read him at night. That was his favorite book as a child, The Runaway
I was
Dinosaur.
so excited for a minute there.
Yeah.
Flash versus a pack of velociraptors. That's
Yep.
a movie for me.
He's going to Gorilla City next season. That was the other big reveal. So
Cool.
Flash versus a pack of hyper-intelligent gorillas. That will happen.
Well, and they're also doing a 4-show crossover
Yeah.
with Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, and League of Tomorrow.
But we're burying the big news here. They finally announced they're doing it. The Flash Supergirl musical crossover episode. It's happening. Because the main character of Flash, Grant Gustin, was on Glee. The main character of Supergirl was on Glee. Joe from Flash is like a Broadway singer. There's all these people that are like very, very known for their singing. So
And Tom Cavanaugh was in Ed.
He
There you
was.
go.
And he was in, that lawyer one with Johnny Lee Miller. Eli Stone
There you go.
plays his dad.
There you go.
I don't know why I know that. But
Is that
you
the one where
enjoy-
he like saw visions?
yeah, Premonitions of the Future.
I watched one episode of that.
I really liked it. Not a lot of people did. You know, only 2 seasons, so it really wasn't that hard
It
to
was
get
too
through.
upbeat for me at the time. I was in high school. And I was like, I don't want to see anything where people are happy.
I need to go to my dark place.
Helping people, I want to watch a broken man
Yeah.
heal people. I was really into House at the
I
time.
understand that.
I wanna throw back to Whedon for just a sec. I wanna go on record saying I don't like his filming style. I was very, I was further on the side of disliking him in the past, but I've gotten over it a little bit because fortunately he was able to work with the characters that had already been sussed out. He didn't have to create anything, but his very stereotypical arc of killing somebody just because he can kill somebody gets overplayed all of the time.
I think that's a little overblown, personally. I'm a big Whedon fan. I think usually he kills people at the end of a show. He likes to have a final battle that has consequences.
Yeah.
I'm a big Buffy and Angel fan, so I will defend him pretty passionately.
And I wasn't huge into Buffy, but I mean, he, like, with Serenity being the ladder of Firefly, it made sense that they killed off Wash.
That's what
because
Wash.
like a big
Someone had
thing.
to die, right? Like,
Yeah, and I mean, he was like one of my favorite characters, but he was like the most expendable one in the show.
and I mean, Coulson didn't even die. He's back. You know, Joss doesn't run Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but his brother does, so clearly he had some sort of say in whether Coulson was going to come back or not. They should have kept him dead.
They should have kept him. Yeah,
Actually, I quite like him. I quite like Clark Gregg. I think I ended up watching another movie for the life of me. I can't remember what it's called, but he was in it. It was so difficult for me to not see him as Coulson.
Yeah.
He played a talent agent, and he was trying to get a 16-year-old girl into Hollywood or something along those lines, and then he ends up becoming an angel and getting his wings at the end.
Oh,
Like, I'm not even kidding. Super weird.
It's super confusing.
He was
Yeah.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus's ex-husband in New Adventures of Old Christine. That's how I always knew him.
Oh, there you go.
That's
That was how I'm like, oh, the Agent Coulson. It's that guy from New Adventures of Old Christine. That show I kind of used to watch because I like Seinfeld.
That's outstanding.
Oh.
I can't say I've seen him in anything, but I confuse him with Hugo Weaving a whole bunch because
Yeah.
I think they're the same person.
They have the same hairline. That's
yeah,
what it
and,
is.
like, they both look really weird when they smile. They're both like, there's nothing okay with that entire scenario that they got going on, and he's wearing the same suit as Agent Smith in all the Matrix movies. So I was like, oh, it's the same fucking dude.
He's like a better-looking Hugo Weaving.
Yeah,
He doesn't have the bug eyes.
yeah, and he
That's the
seems
only
like he's
difference.
less of a bag of shit.
Yeah.
Apparently, Hugo Weaving is not a very nice man.
I don't know. I've heard he didn't like doing the comic book movies, but I've never. Is he like an asshole on set, or?
That's what I had heard. But
I've
he
never
was
read
saying
that.
that he was like kind of gung ho for doing another Captain America.
Not necessarily gung-ho, but he's changed his stance in the last little while. I assume because the Matrix money train has, parked at the station.
He was also Megatron. I think he's probably fine.
Well, that's
and,
true.
And he was in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
6 of them.
He's
Okay.
in 6 Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, clearly he's done a couple movies.
So he's got the only one that made more money than him in that era was the guy that played Gull Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis.
Yeah, and that's because he was in he was every
Every
CGI
movie.
character.
What's he up to lately? Is he in?
He was in Avengers. He was Ultron. No, he was
he was the
Claw.
He was Claw. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess he'll be back for Black Panther.
Got his arm cut off.
He directs and writes, and he was in he did obviously King Kong.
Planet of the Apes.
He's the main ape's called Caesar.
Caesar.
Yeah.
In all the 8 movies.
They should get him back for Skull Island. He should be Kong again.
Yeah, I don't know.
He should be Kong and Godzilla when they fight.
Ooh, yeah, I got bored with that. And for moving on to that subject, I'm a little intrigued about it because King Kong was the size of he climbed the Empire State Building. Godzilla was the size of the Empire State Building.
Yeah,
so it's really just it'd be
Was he though?
you fighting.
In
Yeah.
the original Japanese Godzilla wasn't that big. I've reason to believe.
The reason they're doing Skull Island is because it's also legendary, so they're crossing it over with the Bryan Cranston Godzilla.
Yeah, and
Which was the biggest. That's the biggest Godzilla that's ever existed.
They've shown the original ones where he's walking through and he's 20 stories tall, which is still 200 feet.
They definitely have a bigger Kong than usual in the Skull Island. Maybe he's just as big, honestly. I guess we'll get a look.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one way to see,
It'll be
obviously.
close, I guess.
And there's a new Godzilla coming out from Japan.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
Godzilla, what's it called? I can't remember what it's called.
Returns or Reborn.
Yeah, that's
something
like that.
Yeah.
Godzilla Age of Ultron, I assume.
Basically.
But I guess it's very reliant on the original Japanese story. Only reason why I know this is because a friend of mine is married to a Japanese lady, and she's a fan of the original Godzilla movies. So there's a very stereotypical cast in that there's a scientist, there's his aide, there's the scientist's daughter who falls in love with the aide, and then some useless news reporter guy who's the buffoon. And I guess they're going specifically with that. And I hope they're going to have a dude in a rubber costume. CGI is cool
they
and
have
everything.
pictures of him on the internet, and it, he looks a lot more, grotesque than he did before, but
it's just a nice costume?
it's not full CGI, it looks like Guillermo del Toro, real costume effects.
And there was mention made, the suit will glow red when he uses his powers, because that's what happened in the original.
It's like that episode of Mission Hill where they're your light's on. It's
Yeah.
But even if King Kong's the same size, I mean, Godzilla can breathe fire. He's a gorilla. He's got hair. He's fucked.
Well, and Godzilla has nuclear power or some shit, doesn't he?
Yeah. He was it depends which Godzilla you're going for. In the original ones, he was born of, he was a creature meant to destroy the Earth type thing, and then they kind of fixed it so that he was a creature that was meant to save the Earth. And then in the Matthew Broderick one, he was a creature that gave birth to velociraptors.
He's an atomic bomb in that one too, I think, right? I think they go with the atomic bomb, wakes him up. Sometimes he's just like a dinosaur, right? That gets woken up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he's
and then he gets
asleep
the
at the bottom of the
radioactive
ocean
powers from the bomb, he didn't originally have those.
Yeah, and he's just pissed off type thing.
I looked it up, it's Godzilla Resurgence. I was going to ask, did you guys ever watch, it was the last Japanese one made before Resurgence, Godzilla Final Wars?
Yeah, and it would have been a while back.
It's 2004, I just looked it up. So that's the one where he fights not only all the Godzilla monsters in a row, the last 20 minutes of the movie is basically guys in suits fighting, but he also fights the Matthew Broderick Godzilla, who is the only CG monster in the movie. They call him Zilla in that movie, and they make a joke of him.
It'd have to be.
Yeah, it's just apostrophe Zilla, and he beats him the quickest out of any of the monsters in the movie. He just completely curb stomps him, and it's basically just the Japanese being we hated that movie. You ruined our guy.
Yeah, well, because 2004 would have been...
That's a Coca-Cola.
7 years after the Matthew Broderick one, I want to say. It was 97, 98.
I have the list pulled up here. I can give you.
I think it was 97.
Because it was definitely after Jurassic Park. It might have even been 2000.
89 for the Roland Emmerich one, so...
But that's not Matthew Broderick.
No, that is the Matthew Broderick.
There's no way there was an 89.
No, sorry, 98, sorry.
Okay.
Whoa. There's an 85 above, that's my bad. Because there's an 85 American one, right? Is there?
Yeah, and it's, it was kind of an homage, but not necessarily very good.
Yeah, sorry, 98.
That would have been just after Ferris Bueller. That would have been way better.
Came out the same year as Return of the Jedi, guys. That's...
Oh yeah, the re-release.
Would have been Ferris Bueller the next day.
Yeah, basically.
He gets home after hopping all those fences, and
He's gotta be tired after that, though. Like, after that running?
The big
And
run at the end.
Oh.
Alan
Didn't break a
Ruck,
sweat.
he actually blames the broken Ferrari on Godzilla. That's the plot twist.
I realized, you just reminded me, we didn't even mention that Alan Ruck is in The Happening last episode. His camera's right at the start. He's like the principal.
Yeah.
Why was he in that movie? Anyways,
He probably needs money.
he had one scene. I remember him being in the trailers and everything, and then he's not even in the movie.
Well, he was also in Speed. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
I feel like we can just talk about Alan Ruck now.
I like him. He always looks the same. He just looks like an older version of Cameron.
Yeah, it's weird.
His hair is just older, and he has wrinkles in his face. He doesn't look any different.
I want to say he was in Young Guns 2, maybe? I think he's in Young Guns 2, and he dies quite early on.
Is that Young Guns 2 the Youngening?
No, I believe it's the Emilio Estevez.
Oh, the Estevizing.
Young Guns, Fury Road.
Yeah,
That's what
basically.
they call it.
Basically.
Call every movie Fury Road, I think.
They should.
Okay, so Alan Ruck is clearly the smoothest lead-in to the new Ghostbusters.
80s movies, that's what it is.
Perfect.
That's a good
Yeah.
segue. We're
Yeah.
working on our segues.
I had no segue. You filled in the gap.
Podcast 3 is fine.
That was excellent.
So we can go with initial thoughts of what we all, if we liked it or not, and then we can build it from there. I liked it. I thought it was a super entertaining movie.
I liked it. I keep forgetting that I saw it. I think that would be my biggest complaint. I'd be like, oh, did I see Ghostbusters? Oh, yeah, I did. And I liked it, but I forgot that I saw it.
Yeah, that's
But
fair.
I walked away feeling positive. I walked away being like, I'd see another one of these. So I think that's what they wanted.
No, I can jump right in based on what you just said. They are not doing another one.
No, they're not, yeah.
There's something like $70 million in the hole.
We can get into that. I have the numbers pulled up. We can
Yeah.
get into
I
it
thought they
after.
were doing the one of all the dudes, and then they were going to do a third one of...
That was a joke, but
Oh,
then
God
based
damn it.
on the initial success of the lady one, they thought they might take it seriously, but then the success was very short-lived, so they've now started pulling back on the series in general.
This was supposed to be a cinematic universe. What I've heard is they scrapped everything but the animated movie, which was in the initial plan. They were doing a Slimer movie, so that's probably going to happen. That might just end up being a full-on Ghostbusters animated movie. But
Like a family and
the Ghostiverse seems like it's not happening. I had heard there was an interview where Paul Feig said, I'll pull up the numbers, I guess, since we're talking about it.
Mhm.
Paul Feig said it had to make about $500 million. That was what they were looking for to be like launching a franchise. It made on a budget of $144 million. At this point, $193 million worldwide. That's pretty much, maybe it makes $200 million in total.
Yeah, 'cause
but
it can't be in the theater for much longer than...
it's
2 more
pretty
weeks,
much
maybe.
done. It's pretty much done at
Yeah.
this point. I think it made like under $3 million last weekend. Or
Well,
something.
if I can throw to an aside for a sec, have you guys noticed how short the theatrical runs of movies are these days? Do you
Yeah.
remember, for example, say 15-ish years ago, I remember seeing Happy Gilmore in the theater 20 plus times.
96. Well, and that was at the Dollar Theater, though.
No, but it was both. It was both the regular theater and the cheap theater. But it was in the theaters for almost a full year. Like we're talking like 8-10 months kind of thing. And now, for example, I know the date because of the poster. Civil War, Captain America: Civil War came out, if I recall correctly, May 6th. It has a full-on Blu-ray release September 13th.
Same day as New Transformers, 30th anniversary Blu-ray. Steel
That's
box.
correct. Yep.
Buying them both.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, but the point is, we're talking a few months at most, and there's no longevity like it used to be.
Yeah, I think there's a couple reasons for that. I think ultimately, like if the movie was making money, they would like Avatar had a crazy run, Force Awakens had a crazy run. Like they'll keep them in there if they're making money. So part of it, there's just more movies coming out in the summer, especially. Like nothing can just stay in all summer anymore because there's too much coming out. There's like 3 big movies a week coming out in the summer, so you're just, and especially when you take into account 3D, and there's only so many 3D theaters per Cineplex or whatever, for cinema.
And yeah, that was a big thing. Like that's why it's always such a big accomplishment for when people see, how much money Star Wars made and how much money Avengers made in this, because they're going up against Avatar, which was in the movies. I think I read it like a little while ago. It was over a full year.
That was the brilliant thing about Avatar, is he released it in December before anyone was doing it.
Yeah.
So there was no competition. He
No.
just, like, basically till May, right? Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Even then, like, May's a more recent thing that they've started.
Yeah,
Actually releasing summer movies in May.
Yeah, like it was like 4th of July, like was the big thing. You know, that was. I mean, I remember Independence Day was released like the 2nd of July in like '97 or whatever. But it was a really difficult thing back in the day because.
96.
Sure. Right. Second movie was ruined.
Well, that was the whole point of the second movie. Was 20 years later.
Oh, yeah, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like, and Avatar got re-released multiple times, and it did this, and it did this, and it did this. And a lot of people can say that Avatar is the greatest movie of all time, and it's super awesome that they're content with being wrong. That's fine. But
Hashtag Ferngully.
right? But there's so many, like, movies nowadays have no opportunity to make that money because there's so many releases, and because they're just, like, they're in and out. So
is that the thing, or is it simply that the market is more saturated with films than it used to be?
I think compared to, like, you saying Happy Gilmore, I think at the time there just weren't as many movies coming out, like, not to say there weren't movies coming out in the 90s, but there weren't movies that, like, as many big-budget movies coming out.
Yeah, and I mean, Happy Gilmore is a complete special case unto itself because it was comedy.
And that's Adam Sandler in his prime.
That's, like probably peak.
Like, I'm sure that movie made a lot of money.
Probably.
But, so I think that is part of it. I think it depends on the movie, too. Like, some movies will have a really long run if they'll keep making money. I think a lot of summer blockbusters are made in a way that they don't have a long lifespan. Like, there aren't a lot of... That changes when you get into September and October, but in the summer there just aren't that many high-quality movies that you really need to see again. I don't know how much that really affects it, but...
Yeah, they try and do, like, they never want to get people to return, almost. Because, I mean, like, I saw Civil War more than once, as did both of you, but, I mean, like, Suicide Squad I'll probably see again. We were going to see Ghostbusters again, but we didn't get a chance, so it didn't come up.
I feel like we probably missed our opportunity, too. It's gonna if it's not out of theaters already, it probably is.
Right? Star Wars would have been the last really, really big one that was in the theater for any amount of time, and it might have been out of the theater by the time Civil War got in.
I mean, even this year, Deadpool had a pretty long run in theaters, and it ended up racking up a huge, like, 840 million.
Yeah,
something.
but again, though, I mean, Deadpool was out right around Valentine's Day, so we'll say the 14th. I think it was the 12th, actually, though. Yeah. But it was on Blu-ray within 4 months of that.
Yeah, but they also they release movies that are still in the theaters on Blu-ray as well. They've done that multiple times.
And I don't know if you remember the Disney and animated way of doing things. They would come out with a Christmas movie on, Christmas of year X, and then they wouldn't actually come out with the home release until the next year, being year Y.
It's
so
the
one
worst.
full year
I feel
later.
you either get it pretty early, you get it a couple months after, or if it's late enough in the year, they just wait till Christmas, and then that's the worst, because you have to end up waiting for that home release. Deadpool, I think, so Deadpool ran for a while because it was in February, like you said.
Yeah.
So I think that's just part of the game now, right? Like, maybe that's more part of the game, and there's more studios playing the game than they're used to with these big blockbusters. So, like, that was part of the reason that they released Batman v Superman so early as well, was that they could have it run basically until Civil War came out. I think Jungle Book ended up knocking it out, but there just wasn't a lot of huge blockbusters early in the year.
Yeah.
So that was part of it.
Yeah, that's a really big thing. Yeah, timing of the movies is like the biggest thing, really.
And I think that's a big thing, like, to go back to Ghostbusters. Like, it's not a bad movie, it just kind of got swallowed up in, like, not a great summer, to be perfectly honest. This wasn't a great summer for... There was no Fury Road this summer, Like, it was kind of Civil War, and that was in May.
Yes.
That was the last really good one.
Yeah,
I guess kind of spoiling my thoughts on Suicide Squad, but...
Well, yeah. But there was a lot of... I like Suicide Squad, but it's still going to be a problematic movie.
Yeah, I liked it. It wasn't Fury Road. Like,
yeah,
Fury Road was a slam dunk.
Yeah, Fury Road, especially for the time, because it was exactly what people wanted.
Yeah.
They didn't want a storyline, they didn't want anything, they wanted to see Tom Hardy look, like, rugged, and they wanted people to die. And that's what it was. And that's what a lot of the problems that movies have nowadays, where, like, Independence Day 2, ID8, I believe I'm calling it.
Four square.
Yeah, right?
That makes it 16, I think.
Probably. No, yeah, absolutely. But they put in so much fucking storyline about, like, how Will Smith died, and how this happened, and they have to bring back all the old characters, and having Data, Brent Spiner, come back 20 years to the day after being in a fucking coma when I thought he was dead and having no muscle atrophy, no problems whatsoever. He just gets up and he's like, the aliens are back. Like, what, you fucking kidding me?
He's like the Joker in Dark Knight Returns. He's just been comatose until he heard the word alien.
Yeah, like, it's just like...
You're like, aliens?
Yeah.
Aliens?
Yeah, it blew my fucking mind.
Data?
Right? So, it, like...
They had hospital help jazzercising his body every day. So there was no atrophy, obviously.
But I mean, he was a scientist and he worked for the American government, so he probably didn't make that much money, and I don't think that they would have, like, I mean, this is all assuming that Americans fix their entire healthcare system as well. You know, that. So
Is there a real strong message about Obamacare and independence?
Yeah.
Did they really get in?
That's a big
They're like,
thing.
this was the right choice. Back the right horse, guys.
Yeah, and that's a really, really big thing for me, because they didn't, like, there was so many problems with the movie, and with movies in general, where they try and make an action movie so deep with storyline that outside of comic books, which are like made for storyline as well as action, I don't give a shit about an action movie that has a storyline.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't want to hear about Tom Cruise having problems with his son who's, you know, getting beaten up at school and then he goes and kills 30 fucking people. I just want to see him kill 30 people. I don't see what the problem is.
I suppose I can tie that into Batman versus Superman that we spoke about earlier, in that I think they went the better route in attempting to avoid all of the backstory. For the most part, they did a pretty good job of telling people, if you don't know it already, we're not going to give it to you.
I did like that aspect where they're like, you know, we're not going to spoon feed you. Ask your friends who know what a mother box is. Ask your friends who know what the parademons are. Like, they were just like, you just figure it out. So I don't know if that was the best move for them. I think it helped make the movie very confusing to a lot of people, but I liked it as a DC fan.
I was a big fan. I thought that they really, even though it felt like it was jumping around a lot, I was okay with it because I already had the story filled in, and now it's up to them to go with the story or shape it their own way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Much better than the Zool reference they crammed in at the end of Ghostbusters, which that to me felt like that was just added in. You know, that's very much for the cinematic universe, and they didn't, like, they just sort of have a little improv scene at the start, like, where they're like, oh, making a trap, blah, 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 and then Leslie Jones just goes, what's Zool?
Yeah. Yeah, it was,
They actually didn't do as much as I thought they would, though. I thought we were going to get more Gozer references in the movie itself, like, especially hearing a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff about how they really were pushing for the cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Paul Feig kept it not too heavy on... Like, it didn't feel like Batman v Superman, where they're like, you make sure this will make sense in the next one. There really wasn't very much of that.
Well,
in the movie.
I thought a lot of what references they actually did put in, I felt were ill-placed. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man didn't need to be in the movie, and I will ask you guys, maybe you can explain it to me, how the shit is there a parade float that's now a ghost? That doesn't make sense to me. Ghosts are living things. A parade float is not a living thing.
I guess he was, like, possessing the floats. Rowan, I think, is the bad guy's name. I only know that because there's a pop figure of his ghost. I would not have remembered his name otherwise. When he becomes another weird moment where he becomes the Ghostbusters logo. But he had, like, very ill-defined powers, because he could make all of the army guys do a disco pose.
Yeah.
And he could just do anything, really. Like, but he couldn't do that to the Ghostbusters, or he just didn't want to.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, I got to talk about the ghost for a sec while we're at it, but we'll come back to Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
I gotta pee really quick. Carry on.
I think the worst part of the film for me was them going to the actual realized cartoon character for a moment.
Oh, yeah.
That absolutely lost me. There was no reason for that to happen.
It was an odd moment, yeah.
It came out of nowhere. There was nothing to explain it. Had they have gone with a cutesy but more, I guess, realistic version of that ghost, making cute and look like Casper and whatever the case may be, that would have been fine. But for him to go from a cartoon logo to now a fully realized, angry-looking, literal, like, physical logo, weird choice.
It's weird, and he's like, he's a boring ghost. Like, it's the most generic ghost on their logo. So for him to be the bad guy is like he's just a white ghost. Like it's literally like a joke that would be in another movie that it's just like, oh, spooky ghost. Oh, I got a sheet over me.
Yeah, like
it's
when
so weird.
When the Wayans come out with their Not Another Ghost movie, this is the bad guy that should be in it.
Exactly. It's like, oh, it literally looks like Casper. Like, it's such a weird choice for them to make.
Another friend of mine had made mention that that's what they were going for. Because I guess there's a throwaway line that I don't remember, but they do reference a friendly ghost.
Yeah.
So they're making him look like Casper. But even still, if you remember, Christina Ricci did a Casper movie, and I think Jeff Daniels was the dad in it.
Macaulay Culkin was Casper.
There you go. But, you know, that Casper was not a cartoon. That Casper still looked a little more in the realistic side of things. Obviously, you know, we're going on a stretcher, but he's not a cartoon. Like, it feels like this logo was taken from the Ghostbusters cartoon circa 1988 and then put in this movie only for him to become a real, non-threatening bad guy.
He was a big problem in the movie, I would say. The villain doesn't really connect. That was my biggest problem. Like, the plot wasn't strong, but I liked the characters in the movie, and for the most part, I liked the ghost hunting action, and I liked them building the gadgets. So there were a lot of things I liked in this movie. It wasn't great, and I think it had to be great in order for people to be like, I want to see 4 more of these things.
On the character thing, the only one who other than Rowan, the bad guy, he's just Dinball at best. But I thought that they wasted Leslie Jones's character because she was basically the stereotypical black lady on screen. Very much the throwaway character because, oh shit, we have to have a black person on screen. And the reason why I bring this up is because film these days is moving away from that, and I will specifically reference Jessica Jones on Netflix. They've got Luke Cage is in it. His name's Mike Porter in real life, Mike something-er. Anyways, what I loved so much about his character was never once did he fall into the stereotypical black guy. Because cinema used to do that. They used to have a black guy on screen just because they could. You know, and make him jive talk or dance or, you know, do something ridiculous like they would. But in Jessica Jones, Luke Cage was a fully realized, I thought, wonderful character, and he stole the show. I didn't like Jessica Jones overall, but he led me to the excitement that I'm now feeling for the Luke Cage show coming out. And back to Ghostbusters now, I thought they really shit the bed by having her not be a bigger, better character than she was.
I was worried she was going to be that, and I didn't think she was. I liked her thing about she's really into true crime, so she knew the history of all the places. So she would be like, oh, this is who that... I actually expected there to be more, where she was going to be like, this is what that ghost is. But I feel like in general they kind of dropped the ball with everyone except for Kate McKinnon's character, Holtzman, who was just... She probably made too much gadgets. Like, she did her thing too much. But the other 3 of them, they kind of defined their things, and then they didn't really do anything for the rest of the movie. I guess Kristen Wiig's thing was just that she wanted to get in Hemsworth's pants, but... You know, that never really paid off.
Yeah, who doesn't? I mean,
he's a good-looking guy. Even dumb Hemsworth, I'm like, I'm
absolutely
into it.
Did you guys notice him playing with the hammer?
Oh no!
There was a scene where he's got a hammer and he's throwing it up and down.
Oh,
like he does in Thor, but then he drops the hammer.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it was pretty gold.
So on a previous topic, the only thing that I'm kind of picturing for why the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man as a parade float was there, well, a giant balloon, would be because we know that Rowan was opening the gates to an alternate dimension.
He was bringing in ghosts.
Yeah, so it could have been the Ghost Dimension parade. I assume it was a Macy's Day parade.
It's because they show the parade beforehand. So it's like ghosts are wrecking the parade.
So it's definitely a parade.
So now we're immersed into a universe where there's been a massive parade, murder, death, attack.
No, not necessarily.
Thing.
No, because we're like the Ghost Dimension was an entire dimension where they were just ghosts that existed.
Oh,
they did that in the
Ghost
cartoon.
Macy's.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, so I'm gonna go to the Ghost shopping center.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a regular parade, and then ghosts just show up.
That's what I thought it was. I wasn't aware that there was.
I thought the entire parade was ghosts.
I think it's like a parade, and then ghosts like infect the parade.
And that's
Oh, okay.
Like the parade is there, and then he opens the portal, and then people come out of the portal, and then they're like, "Whoa, the parade's scary now."
well, I
have to watch
assume
this
that
movie again, 'cause I didn't pick up on that at all.
I assume something happened at this parade that resulted in ghosts. You know, I don't know. A bomb goes off or something, so that all the people who are in the parade are now dead, and they're stuck in parade life, in the ghost life.
No, Rowan just turned on his big machine again when he was Chris Hemsworth. He went and turned it on, and that opened the portal.
Yeah.
He broke all the mirrors, right? There were all the mirrors.
Yeah, that's where all
the
the
mirrors
ghosts
were all the ghosts. That was actually pretty cool. I wish we had seen more of Rowan, because I liked his idea that he was just this bullied guy
Yeah,
who
I
sort
would-
of like had this prowess with ghosts.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen him as like a real character, and not like a mixture of a semi-mentally deficient man and Janosz Poha from Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
Who's just kind of like mashed together.
My favorite part of the movie actually was when they find his lair and he just grabs the two electric conductors and kills himself.
Yeah.
And then I think Leslie Jones just goes, "That was a weird move." Like, he
Yeah.
just like
It is just-
immediately kills himself.
Yeah.
It was actually really funny. I like that a lot.
Yeah, there were a lot of like interesting parts. My explanation of what I thought the parade was made perfect sense to me, because it was not necessarily a reboot or a remake, but kind of like moved along from the cartoon. Because in the real Ghostbusters cartoon, I know that there were like ghosts that lived in their own area that had like the ghosts.
So it's Ghost New York.
Basically, yeah, it was like New York, and then like the Ghost New York was like kind of on top of it, kind of like what Constantine did, where they had everything in New York was the same, and then hell was the same, but much worse, and heaven was the same, but much nicer, right?
Did you guys ever hear Dan Aykroyd's pitch for like Ghostbusters 3, Ghostbusters Go to Hell? That was pretty much what it was, where it's like, hell is... This is so weird. Dan Aykroyd is the weirdest dude ever. So he came up with this idea where hell exists like in the moments where people blink, right? Like, if you could get yourself out of sync with the world, you would be in hell. Basically what you're saying, where they just exist on top of each other, right? So that's how they go to hell in Ghostbusters 3, is they make this machine, or how it was supposed to happen. They make this machine that puts them out of sync, so they're still like sort of in New York, but they go to hell because they're out of sync.
So they make the Rowan machine.
Pretty much, right? Like,
It's kind of.
but he's like
Okay.
opening. He's trying to spread the. They don't explain it at all. It's so weird because they make it way more plot heavy than the original movie, but at the same time they don't really explain anything and make it goofier, so it feels less plot heavy at the same time. But I think he was like trying to bring about ghosts into the world. He was gonna kill all the people, I think is what it was, right? Like he was gonna be king of the ghosts, and the ghosts were gonna take over the world in his weird drawings and stuff.
It just makes me not want to blink again. That's fucking terrifying.
That's kind of a cool idea. I don't know.
Yeah, Aykroyd is messed up too.
He's a weird. I think he believes this stuff too. That's what I always.
He's written a lot of books on it. Yeah. Or read a lot of books on it. One of the two. I don't know.
Apparently, his Crystal Skull vodka, pretty good.
I have had it more than once. It's pretty tasty. Pretty tasty. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the movie. It's difficult. Like I'm since the day it came out, I'm doing everything I can to not compare it to the original Ghostbusters, which
I think they make it so you have to.
yeah, if they didn't want people to compare, and they didn't want everyone to shit on them for having female Ghostbusters the entire time, why would you make it so similar of a movie?
Yeah.
Like the opening sequence is almost the exact same. There's so many things that are the exact same. You know, why would they even mention Zool? Why do you need to bring back Zool if you don't want it to be like a direct comparison to what the original movie was?
Now, if I can make a point on that, the homage to Harold Ramis was ace, and
yeah,
and totally steered the opposite direction from the, speaking of Crystal Skull, from the Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, the pseudo homage to both Sean Connery and what's the
his name in the movie was Marcus Brody.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name in real life.
Regardless, they had a statue in the middle of the university only for Mutt to drive through it, and
No, he didn't
destroy
drive through it. He hit it, and his head fell off.
That.
But still,
Yeah, Denholm Elliott is his name. But I thought that them just having, and they didn't put any focus on it. They just had the bust of Harold Ramis, and I don't think they could have done it any better.
Yeah, that was well done.
It was
Kind
quite
of
nice.
Brings up something I wanted to ask. Do you guys think this movie would have done better if they done a soft reboot, like they have Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, but they're playing Venkman and Ray, and they're just handing it off to the next generation. I don't really think you would have had to change the movie all that much. You just would have had to have a little thing, like, have a little news clip at the beginning where it's like, the Ghostbusters 20 years ago, like, oh, there was this crazy thing, and now everyone thinks they're, like, frauds. But at the time, it sure seemed crazy, right? Like, that's... You just would have had to be like, people just don't think ghosts exist anymore.
Well, how cool would it be if to tie it in, it would be something silly like, I don't know if you remember the super awkward dance birthday party at the beginning of Ghostbusters 2.
Oh yeah.
Have
like,
one of the girls at the party grow up to be Kristen Wiig or Melissa McCarthy. Simple tie, like, oh, I loved you, back when I was a kid, and, it drove me to go into science and to be a scientist, and all of a sudden, Rowan is now here. We need to contact Venkman and Ray Stoltz? Stantz. We need to contact them. Eric Stoltz, yeah. Help us solve this, and they could be the mentors. They didn't even have to put on proton packs, but have them be mentors for a few minutes in the movie, and I think it would have been a better way, rather than say we're not gonna have homages and direct comparison to, which they did anyways. Just own it. Just jump in the pool. Say, fuck it. This is what we're doing. We understand the Ghostbusters universe existed. There's a shit ton of fans from the previous 2 movies. Let's take them and let's give them something to love.
That's why, like, would it have done better? I don't think it would have gotten quite the
I don't think it would have
heat
shown as much.
it got.
Yeah.
But would have anyone have cared? Like, I understand that it wouldn't have gotten negative press, but would more people have gone to see it? I don't really know that they would have. I think maybe Sony's whole problem was thinking that a Ghostbusters cinematic universe was viable to begin with, and maybe instead of making this $140 million movie, it should have been a $60 million movie that's an hour and a half long, and still keep Paul Feig and do it. I don't know. It just seems like they set their sights really high for this, and
Yeah, and there was, doing it the continuation way would be really, really good, and you could even tie in Bill Murray not wanting to do it, where he could be like, no, that wasn't me, I didn't have anything to do with ghosts. They could have him, they could kill him off. No one would
make
care.
fun of him, yeah, exactly.
He didn't want to be
Have
in the
him
movie. Like, who gives a shit?
Pull the Charlie Sheen in 2.5 Men, where he gets crushed by a I agree, just totally.
Fucking out of nowhere.
I think at this point, if you follow the movie, surprisingly, you're not on Bill Murray's side. Like, you're like, he's being a dick.
Yeah.
He should just either say he's not going to do the movie, or, whatever. Because that was the thing. He kept being like, oh, maybe if I get the right script, maybe. And he just said no forever.
Yeah.
And if I'm Dan Aykroyd, who I think is a lunatic and an asshole, if I'm him, I just leave. Like, I'm on Aykroyd's side.
I'm surprised Aykroyd didn't stab him.
Yeah.
Like, 100%. But it would also...
He could have gone Blues Brothers on him.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a whole bunch of difficulties. Like, my biggest difficulty that I had with the new one would have been a lot of the pacing, where they didn't explain anything with the Holtzman character creating the new things. Like, she makes all of the cool gadgets, which are super awesome, and they look cool, and the weird one that's like a lawnmower was interesting but kind of pointless, whatever.
Wouldn't it suck everything in? That was it seemed to suck everything in.
It's a black hole. Like, I don't fucking understand. But it was really, like, oh, hey guys, like, the last scene, we just got attacked by ghosts. Next scene, it's like, oh, we got all this new shit that's, like, all brand new. It's been, like, 6 hours. How did you make all this stuff?
It's probably not 6 hours.
No, but that's what I'm saying. They don't, like, that's a big leap where it's not, like, weeks at a time. This is all taking place in the span of, like, days.
Well, what they should have done, because they did have the news feed happening throughout the entire movie, they should have had just a simple cutaway to somebody on TV saying, oh, well, it's been 6 months since the ghost infestation that we don't know that happened.
1 week.
That's. That was if they tied in the old ones, it would have made it so much easier, because she would have had the tech to build off of, not just like.
That's why they could have contacted the old team.
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd would have been super on board with it, but then Bill Murray would be like kind of crazy, gets killed by a ghost, fuels Dan Aykroyd to help them. Then they kind of move forward.
Oh, Bill Murray
that would have been
fun.
I thought he should. I thought he was going to be the bad guy.
I was hoping that he was going to be a bad guy, and they didn't really discuss if he dies or not.
He died.
Did he? Okay.
But he could be a ghost.
They mentioned him dying. Yeah.
Okay, because I know he got thrown out the second story window.
Like, we killed the bunker. They make some sort of thing.
Yeah, they do make mention in the next scene about it.
Oh, all right.
I wanted to bring it. Do you guys hear the controversy about Holtzman?
Oh no.
Her character, she was supposed to be a lesbian in the movie, which they
Shocking.
make references to, but it was supposed to be explicit in the movie, and Sony said no, which is so weird because they've really been pushing themselves as like, oh, we're progressive, we're having the lady Ghostbusters, so for them to be like, we're not also gonna get the LGBT crowd, which is like, why would they say no? It's not like that's really that
It's not like
offensive.
they're gonna have like a dyke out scene or anything.
Well,
like
here's
that. It's super
here's
weird.
here's my beef with that. It wouldn't add to the movie, and I
It
under
wouldn't take away from the movie.
I think she's
Well,
already
that's the
implied
point- that's
to be
the point.
lesbian in the movie, so it's
it-
weird that they felt like they cut it out where she makes several passes at
Yeah, and
female
she's
characters.
a lesbian in real life, so who gives a
She is
shit?
that's what I didn't realize, she was a lesbian in real
Yeah.
life.
Well, that's the thing is I don't think it would have changed the movie. Although, based on what Zach is saying, if they had have had a few funny moments where she does make failed passes, I think that would be fun. Because, you know, it in so many movies in the past, it's always been some guy who is just hitting on every lady and failing continually. I think it would have been funny to put the hat on her where she's hitting on. She should go through each of the 3 Ghostbusters and attempt to hit on them.
She did hit
And
on
be
Kristen Wiig a
rebuked.
lot in the
Oh,
movie.
well.
She makes a lot of references to enjoying looking at Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, and she, like, I mean, they wouldn't even have had to, like, make it a big thing. It would have been a single extra line of Kristen Wiig looking at Chris Hemsworth with his fucking saxophone, being shirtless, wanting to be, like, a scientist or the president or whatever, and have Chris Holtzman, I don't know her name in real life, have her just be like, no, I like women. And that would have been, like, the end of it. Who gives a
That's
shit?
it. Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like
it's-
that's probably what it was, and they just cut that line because it's
Yeah.
weird. The weird part to me was in the article that it implied that she isn't a lesbian in the final cut because she is. I would have assumed she was a lesbian.
I
Paul
100% thought she
Feig,
was, like, fully
I
lesbian.
don't know how you say his name, director guy, he specifically went on record saying, yes, she is a lesbian in this movie.
I've heard
Feig,
Feig, yeah.
Feig? Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah,
Like-
because it's Feig and Feige.
Yeah, Feige is the Marvel guy.
Yes, Kevin.
Yeah.
His is Feige, and
Yeah.
Feig is Feig. He doesn't have the E at the end.
Okay. But anyways, he, I don't know if it was, if it
As
was
Kevin Feige is.
a Twitter post or something or other, but he did flat out say, yes, she is, she's into the ladies. And I just don't think it matters. I understand that there's several minority communities that haven't been represented positively. You know, again,
So, you mean all of them?
all of them, yes,
Okay.
other than privileged white people. But I feel like going out of the way to make a point to that, had they have naturally segued into it, would have been great, but to unnaturally make a focal point of it, I think would have been a satire of the entire situation.
See, I guess it sounds to me like the opposite happened. Like it was in the movie, and then they very unnaturally tried to pull it out, and like I don't even think did a good job. Like,
Yeah.
but I guess that I probably talked about this more than it
Well-
deserves to be talked about. But
Well, I mean, yes and no, because, I mean, at this point in time, do you think that the LGBT crowd potentially slammed the movie and didn't like the movie because there wasn't even, like, there was just, like, alluding to it?
I just think no one cared. I think they
No.
raised all this social justice stuff as a way to try and get people to see the movie, and ultimately people just didn't really want to see a new Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah.
That's what
and
again, like people didn't care. Like I don't think men, women. I don't think like sexuality. I don't think race came into it. I think people just didn't really care about this movie.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think that it's a whole bunch of old, like, people older than us, obviously we're a couple years older than you, not wanting to see a movie with the girls as the lead. Like,
I do.
Okay.
I think those people existed. I certainly don't mean to say that. I don't
So
think.
let,
those
yeah,
people
so
existed.
let's talk about that then for a sec. Do you think they shit the bed in having a cast of the 4 Ghostbusters being women? Should there have been a guy or
I would have
anything of
loved
the
it to
sort?
be, like, a super gay guy. I think that would have been fucking
That would have been
great.
Thomas Lennon as a
Anyone.
excessively over the top gay man?
Anyone. Even if it was someone that, like, if it was, like, Chris Hemsworth was in the gang and he's like, oh no, I'm gay. I think that would have been, like, fucking outstanding. Just, like, completely regular dude, just gay.
That would have been a fun
Would've
reveal if at the
been-
end of the movie
would've
he
been great.
said he was gay.
Yeah, like Kristen Wiig hits on him, he's like, oh, no, this is my boyfriend, and fucking Chris Evans walks in. I'd be like, this is fucking perfect.
They do a fun twist like that at the end of Paranorman, where the kind of hunky guy that Anna Kendrick's character has been after the whole movie. He's just like, oh, this is my boyfriend. And it's just like totally. He hasn't even realized that he's been being hit on this whole time.
Isn't that the Call Me Maybe
It
music
is,
video?
yeah.
By,
It's the same thing.
little throw out to Carly Rae there?
Yeah.
Carly Rae Jepsen.
Um,
But yeah, I don't. I found watching it that I didn't mind the girls. What was weird to me, and I think was a mistake, was that they made the film so much about them being girls. Like I felt like the film was like, oh, people don't want there to be girl Ghostbusters. I'm like, you guys are just saying that. I don't think anyone cared about girl Ghostbusters.
I could
think
not
that was
agree more.
A fake controversy they created.
Yeah, like I didn't even notice. Like obviously I noticed they were women, but I didn't really notice they were girls until they talked about it. I was like, okay, like she's Venkman, she's Stan, she's this, she's this, and I was like, okay, oh wait, no, right, they're women and they're not as good as men for whatever obvious reasons that people want to say, and I didn't even pay attention to that.
It just seemed like for it to be so focused on them being women, it's not like they were hyper masculine in the original Ghostbusters. They weren't always. The movies weren't about them being men. Like, it would make sense, like, when they talked about doing the girl Expendables. That makes sense. Those are very testosterone-driven movies, so to be like, now girls are doing it. Like, those movies, I think, are about being a man. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
but you make, like, an Arnie movie with a girl, I get that. But, like, it's not like when I think of a manly man, I'm thinking of Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd. Like, they were not... They weren't even, like, frat boy guys either. Like, it wasn't like it was, like...
fucking losers.
Like, again, in Neighbors 2, it's fun to see girls misbehaving in that way you don't normally see. It's not like... I don't know. I guess I've heard people, like, Paul Feig had this thing where he was saying that girls have been writing him and saying, like, oh, my daughter wants to be a scientist now. Like, that part of it is nice, I guess, in a gender sense. Like, there aren't a lot of... I guess female scientist characters, Dr. Christmas and
James Bond.
Yes,
James
Bond. Best reference ever.
Get pulled out.
Christmas came early this year. One of the worst James Bond puns. They're not really even a pun. Just like that's a little too sexual.
Yeah, he's like 3 or 4.
That's weird because they're also like when he says that, or right after he says that, they're like watching them have sex on infrared. And again, it's like a little too graphic for a James Bond.
Doesn't he say like? Doesn't he have another one where like I thought only Christmas came only once a year or something like that? Like
that might be what it is. I think
okay.
that's what it is.
I don't know.
He either says Christmas came early or I thought Christmas only came once a year. I think it's the second one.
It's just like, oh my god.
Is that the one where the guy's got the bullet in his head?
No, that's Sophie Marceau, and that's Robert Carlyle.
Yeah, it's
the one after that. Because it's
a Halle Berry one with the ice castle.
He has diamonds in his head and Die Another Day. That's what it is.
Oh, I cannot keep track of all this.
So it's Famke Janssen, it's Terry Hatcher, it's Denise Richards, then it's Halle Berry, and then it's the last one that no one saw or cared.
No, Die Another Day is the last one.
There's only 4 with him.
I thought he did 5.
No. Oh, no, there's Michelle Yeoh.
She's in the second one.
Michelle Yeoh, rather.
Because it's GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies.
World is Not Enough.
World Is Enough.
Die Another Day.
I thought he did 5.
I don't think so.
I think that's it, yeah.
Yeah, and then
Denise Richards was not...
I'll Google it.
Maybe she was in the Sophie Marceau one.
Yeah, I'm sure she was.
She is, yeah.
Is she? Okay,
yeah,
alright.
Sophie Marceau is the bad guy. That's what she
and Halle Berry's with like Rose Byrne or whatever? The English one who's a fencer?
I don't think it's Rose Byrne.
But English woman.
But
the Madonna scene is the Halle Berry one.
Yeah, okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then they
stopped. You should do at least one of those movies.
Yeah, I would.
Oh, shit.
World Is Not Enough is really bad.
No, if we want to do a good one, we should do On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I'm willing to go on record.
We can do a bad one for that too, because they do a remake of it with Pink Panther. No, they do On Her Majesty's Secret Service with the guy that was in Pink Panther, like the old movies.
Steve Martin.
No, I hate you. What's his name? French. No, he's not French. He's English. But he's like, it's a parody and it's him.
That's Casino Royale.
Oh yeah, damn.
Yeah, no. On Her Majesty's Secret Service is I know we're totally not talking about Ghostbusters, but
Peter Sellers. It's Peter Sellers.
Yeah. Damn it. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, they stole some of the plot to put it in the new Spectre movie.
Yeah, it's from the novels, I believe, is what it
I have On Her Majesty's Secret Service in the novel.
Because that's the one where he's married, I believe, right? And then,
that is correct. And his wife dies.
And she gets a whole bunch of blown up.
That's the character in Spectre, right? Is the wife, the woman he ends up marrying, is the daughter or whatever, Mr. White's daughter. Mm-hmm. That was I like that in Spectre. And they went back to...
one of a few parts in Spectre.
He was... I like that he was the running thread throughout the... Mr. White was the running thread throughout... I think he's been in all of them. He wasn't in Skyfall, but he was in... He's in Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, they alluded to him in Skyfall.
And there's word now that Daniel Craig is going to do another one. He
was signed on for another one.
Yeah, he's got a 10-part miniseries on some network, and he says he's going to try and work that and Bond in together.
I don't care. I think
I'm over it.
I think start over. I don't care. I don't want to wait for Sam Mendes.
I want fucking Idris Elba.
Idris would be the best. I agree.
I want Idris.
They should. I mean, it's not.
Tom Hiddleston is a rumor as well.
Hiddleston's fine. People have said Hardy. I think Hardy could be a good Daniel Craig.
Yeah, he'd be like the exact same
James
as
Bond.
Daniel
He'd be a
Craig,
good.
more
If
like
they did Hardy, they should just continue the story.
Now, my only issue with Idris Elba is I'm afraid that they wouldn't go as, and terrible
I'm gonna
pun.
say dark.
I'm totally gonna say dark.
That's rude, man.
Oh, I know.
There's the door.
They're not gonna go as dark with the character as the novels, because in the novels, Bond is a piece of shit. He is a drunk, he is a womanizer, he is a abusive, aggressive, angry man, and Idris Elba, based on his Luther character, could absolutely do it in the best way possible and be a ladies' man at the same time. I'm just afraid that they wouldn't be willing to go that far, and I think they should. I think he would be stellar as Luther meets the ladies' man.
Yeah.
And then have Will Ferrell as the bad guy.
Oh my god. I am a ladies' man too.
Yeah.
But,
You're clearly gay.
I
love that movie.
I mean, I think the only problem that you have in that scenario is that everyone knows James Bond's a drunk in the movies too. He is only drinking.
But
All the
to own it, you know, there's always allusions to
problem.
like
the Craig Bond, they really went full in with like he's the blunt instrument. Like you get that in the Connery Bond too, but I think at the time we were supposed to be like, oh, he just slapped that woman, how charming. Like I don't think at the time we were supposed to be like, oh wow, he's a bit of an asshole. I think we were supposed to be like, this is what life is. This is how men treat women.
Yeah, so let Daniel Craig be the open door for Elba to walk through and just totally crush the wall.
I'd like to see more of the suave James Bond. I feel like we've had the mean James Bond. I want to see a cool James Bond who isn't like
have both
fumbling behind the whole time. You know, like I felt like Craig's James Bond seemed really dumb. He seemed like really dumb.
He did.
He was like Nolan's Batman, where he was just sort of like stumbling into situations and like, whoa.
Yeah, and it seemed like going back. Like I love Casino Royale. I thought it was a great movie, but it seems really dated at this point in time. Like if you watch it again, I'm just like, oh, okay, like
when he swings that thing on the chair,
oh
you know,
that's
hit
terrifying.
him in the nuts.
They could have
remember being in the theater and everyone just being like, oh,
yeah, okay.
Even the women because they can kind of empathize.
Kegels, brutal. But they could have released that movie in the '60s, and it would have been the exact same movie. Like it's really, and I understand that's what they wanted. Like it was a really good like homage to it. That it was like an action movie like that.
I think it was what
really
the franchise needed.
But Casino Royale,
we needed to cut. Like if you look at Die Another Day, where there's an invisible car, like they really needed to do the Batman. It's the same as Nolan's Batman Begins, right? Like going off the specter of Batman and Robin, they really had to change things up to make people even care about the property, which I think they did. And then Skyfall obviously helped.
Yeah,
it's a weird parallels because Skyfall is very similar to Dark Knight.
Kind of.
And it's, I think, sort of ripped off to a certain extent. Like, Casino Royale isn't really that similar to Batman Begins, but beyond being like a gritty reimagining. But Skyfall is shot and executed very similarly to Dark Knight.
Casino Royale was made in the '60s with Peter Sellers. So,
and it's a novel as well.
Making Casino Royale as if it was in the '60s, I think they went much further than a movie in the '60s would have done, but they dealt with the same sensibilities that might have existed in that time. And then as an aside on Skyfall, in relation to Batman, does Batman run around a house with the flashlight on, alerting the bad guys that, oh hey guys, we're over in this house? Might be one of the dumbest plot points in a James Bond movie. And there's an invisible car. There's an invisible car, there's a submarine car, John Cleese is in it, and John Cleese is amazing, but he's ridiculous in it. But, for all of these dumb things, I think Skyfall was the worst for me. Because...
Oh, I hated Spectre. And I fucking hated Quantum of
Okay,
Solace.
well, that's... Okay.
I haven't seen Quantum in a long time. I wasn't a big Spectre fan.
But with Skyfall... what I mean by it being the worst is that it is the best example of, as Zach says, James Bond being a dumb, blunt... He's a fucking idiot.
He's Moose Mason. Like, 100%.
He's blundering through that movie.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying that Casino Royale is the exact same as the '60s one, but they didn't really update it at all. They went from, like, he's kind of like a blunt object where he's playing, like, fucking poker instead of Baccarat, which no one really cares about, and he's still wearing the classic tuxedo, and they could have updated so many things just to bring it forward, and then in the next one, they jumped so far ahead and then they kind of like jumped ahead and came back, and then jumped ahead and came back, and I just didn't think that it worked all that well in the series. Casino Royale being a fantastic movie, I thought it was awesome.
It's really good, yeah.
But I think if they move forward with Idris Elba, or what they could do is, there's the talk of having the James Bond be the title and not the person. They could do two.
If
they could do Hiddleston and they could do Idris Elba, and then they could do like a whole.
Have them both be double O's.
Yeah, they could have it. Oh my God, they could have Sean Bean. Like they could do the whole GoldenEye thing where it like leads up to it, and they fight each other and one of them fucking dies. Like that would be super intense.
Okay, I feel like we're pretty much done with Ghostbusters. So I just want to bring up another topic, which I feel like is a broader one. Do we need new James Bond movies? Like if they're just gonna keep doing the formula over and over again. It's not like with comic books, there's all this backstory to pull from, whereas with James Bond, like, we've done pretty much everything from the novels, right?
3 of them.
Well, I think Quantum of Solace was the end of the road, because that was the first foray outside of the novels. There was
the
short story.
It
was,
yeah.
and
GoldenEye wasn't a novel.
There's a lot of them were not novels.
Yeah, any Pierce Brosnan one wasn't.
You're absolutely right. I'm drunk.
Yeah, there's a lot. Even Casino Royale is like the ones that are novels
like
are very
story.
loosely novels.
Yeah.
I think only Connery is the one that.
Okay, so we're gonna
some of the because Living Daylights is. I think there are elements of the novels in pretty much all of the movies, but
yeah, they kind of like just pull.
So let's just go back and let's just pretend I didn't sound like an idiot about that just now. It's out there in the world. It's recorded. God damn it. Well, I mean, there's so many other movies that are doing this kind of spot. Like we've got our Jack Reachers, which is super awesome. We've got our Mission Impossibles. You know,
Kingsman 2,
we've got
which is the exact same thing.
Another Kingsman movie, right? I mean, you know, I'm kind of torn on this. On one hand, I think they should keep going with the James Bonds rather than introducing a completely new story, a new character, a new film franchise,
right.
which is going to be exactly the same. But then at the same time, James Bond is tired. They have to do something to reinvigorate it. So I would say I can put them both together, focus and make James Bond better than it has been, so that you don't have to come out with something new to fill the shoes that are unfillable.
Yeah. The moment that made me think of it in Spectre is Monica Bellucci's character, like just her kind of story arc where she's just a typical Bond girl, right? Like they have sex and then she dies. And I was just like, this is classic Bond, but I don't want to see this anymore. I don't really just need a good-looking female character to show like some skin and then die. That seems so dated to me at this point, where it's just like, let's have a famous actress be in the movie because of and it's just because we have this idea of what a Bond girl is.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be dating to me. You know, it's we don't live in the 60s anymore. It's simply that it's been played out 24 times.
I've seen this a million times. Why did this need to be in the movie?
Yeah, exactly. It's we get it. Bond is a Lothario. He's a philanderer. This is the kind of stuff he does. We get it. You don't need to show it again. Bruce Wayne, parents' death. Again, we get it. It's been done a million times.
I mean, we could easily tie it back into Ghostbusters of like, do they need to do remakes of movies?
That's what would be my big question here is like, what was the Ghostbusters remake supposed to accomplish? You know?
Yeah, like I mean, it didn't bring any. As far as I know, it didn't bring any new viewers in. Like, there's our brother was gonna take his son to see it, and I was like, no, it's probably too scary for a 6-year-old. And by the time his kid's 4, I think. No, he was born in 2009. She's 7 and he's 5.
So the tattoos are helpful. I like that.
That's right.
Perfect.
But even still,
regardless,
it's too scary for the daughter as well. And by the time she's 9, 10, old enough to see it, he's not even gonna remember it's a movie.
Yeah,
no one's
exactly.
Gonna give
No one's gonna care.
So I mean, they do that. Like we could have made this less about Ghostbusters and more about remakes in general. Because I mean, like they did the same thing with Red Dawn.
Red Dawn, yeah.
And they did the same thing with Point Break. And to me, they're doing the same thing with Big Trouble in Little China, which like hurts me so much.
So I'd like to go. I'm so glad you brought up Big Trouble because I have an idea about it. rather than them doing a reboot, which I think is shitting the bed.
Yeah.
I think it should exist in the same universe, have that same John Carpenter. Number one, the vibe, the feel about it. Number two, the soundtrack.
The idea of the score.
John Carpenter needs to have his
soundtrack
1978 Casio
Such a
24
Doesn't he do the
keyboard.
score?
Yes, he
Yeah,
does.
I guess.
He
Every
absolutely
movie
does.
that he does the music for it.
This
I get such a boner for it.
Totally an aside, but there's a book that just came out called Scored to Death. Have you guys heard of it?
Oh no.
It's all about movie scores. I haven't read it yet. Apparently it's quite good. Scored to Death.
Go to the bookstore later
Yeah.
today.
Just saw that online the other day. And I was like, oh, that looks like something I want to read.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Big Trouble in Little China, part 2. Now, at the end of Big Trouble in Little China, they never go into explaining how the monster is alive and crawling on the back of his big
They
rig.
explain it in comic books later on.
I haven't read the comic books, but as a person who hasn't read the comics, they've left that door open. What better way than to bring in a new film, not a reboot, but because Kurt Russell works for a trucking company, have him now be the old, bitter, haggard boss of the company, and The Rock is a new guy who works for the company, and fucking
I'm into
Lopan
that,
comes back. You know, you can just,
It
you know,
doesn't have to be Lopan, it can be anyone.
but
It can be
have the spirit of Lopan. You know, all you have to do is just have some dusty old book, crack it open, and there's some Chinese lettering. It doesn't even have to say anything because as white people we don't know what it says. But you know, have the spirit of Lopan. You know, when the two moons cross, you know, the spirit of Lopan will come back or something along those lines. And Kurt Russell's too old to do it. You know, his character of Jack Burton. So he is now the mentor to The Rock.
I'd be into it. Is that actually happening?
Yeah,
a remake?
they're doing that, and they're doing Jumanji.
I feel like
And
that,
apparently Kevin
that-
Hart's in all of them.
Yeah, Kevin Hart and The Rock are now like
They're-
the tandem combo.
Jumanji makes sense to me. I'd be like, Big Trouble's not going to get made. That seems like a weird one to me.
Because The Rock was like pushing it, and he.
Hey, for The Rock's in it, I'm actually in. I'm totally okay with that.
I'm in. I don't like that because the secondary character, the Chinese guy whose name I could not remember, Dennis Dunn in real life, he.
Wang Chung.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his real name.
Oh,
Sorry. Having him, like, having it be Kevin Hart, who has like no physical prowess, has no. I mean, I'm sure he's got charisma, but this guy didn't have a lot of charisma. He was just like the generic guy who was the hero.
He was the hero
that no one
exactly.
really knew
Yeah,
about.
He was the hero, but the movie didn't realize he was the
well,
hero.
that's the
what
thing.
was
It
fun
would
about
now switch the roles where Jack Burton's now the Rock character would be the hero, where Jack Burton is an idiot.
I think The Rock would have to be like similar to Kurt Russell, where he would have to be the bumbling.
He'd
one.
have to be a buffoon, and you know, shoot the roof and have the you know rocks from the roof fall and knock him out, and that's Kevin Hart's role. He always plays the loudmouth buffoon, and I think it would be if they were gonna do this, I think it would be an interesting change to have Kevin Hart be a smart, underplayed, physical kind of guy because he never does it, and have The Rock be this big bumbling buffoon.
Yeah, I'm not going to bash the movie or say I won't ever see it because I'm sure it will.
I don't think that's going to get made.
I'm not sure if it
I feel like
does.
Jumanji has a much better chance.
Well, Jumanji's like happening, but for some reason they're doing a remake and not like they don't have to do a remake in the slightest of it.
Just have them find the
they
board
find
game
fucking
again.
game.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time, it's like the only reason they wouldn't do a remake is if Robin Williams was still alive and could do a cameo. Like,
Yeah.
what are they gonna have one of the kids do a cameo? No one gives a fuck.
Well,
Like,
Kirsten Dunst. She was,
is
she was
she one of the
she's
kids?
the girl, yeah.
No, she'll be in it. Who cares?
Yeah, but I mean, like they could easily be
She'll
like.
probably be like stuck in the board game or something. You know?
So,
Like,
yeah, I mean they could find.
She could be the Robin Williams role. She's got a big, huge beard,
I'd
and
still-
she's from the Safari.
I'd
and
still do her. But they could. I mean, they could be finding the board game and have Kevin Hart go. Kevin Hart be like, "Did you hear about that shit that happened in like fucking Pennsylvania 25 years ago? That could be this game." And The
Or it's
Rock's
just-
like, "What? That's stupid." Rolls the dice. Rhino. You know, like that'd be super
Well,
entertaining.
and I'm trying to wrap my head around a situation where The Rock and Kevin Hart are going to be playing a board game.
Yeah, I
Is it
want
going
them
to be
to be
that
like
Kevin Hart's
brother-in-laws.
going to be dad,
Kevin
and then
Hart's
The Rock
definitely-
is going to be the Robin Williams
I
character?
guarantee Kevin Hart plays board games when he's not like railing hookers at Sword and
I
Company.
had heard that
Guaranteed.
The Rock is probably that he's going to be the Robin Williams character. He's like the crazy guy that comes out of the board. I don't know if I had just thought that or if I'd actually read that, but
It would
it would make sense that he's like Ranger Rick or whatever, you know.
Yeah, it confuses me that Kevin Hart's playing like the Bonnie Hunt character. So like, do they fall in love?
They better.
Because
That's how every rock hard movie should end. With
Oh
them,
my
a
God.
passionate,
Central Intelligence
open
is
mouth
just
kiss.
totally
be
just
flawless.
full on
like
smooch around.
heart wipe. That'd be fucking perfect. It just like it's just a weird like buddy cop combo between the two of them.
Yeah.
What?
If for anybody wondering, that noise in the background is the
Grounds crew at my apartment
the
complex.
ground crew is mowing the lawn. We've got a large fan going. We've now got this going. You guys are really getting the full immersive Sonic experience. I just want to let everyone know that.
Yeah, you know, I live in an apartment. It's kind of nice. It's really hot out today, and it just
It might be the hottest day ever here.
Maybe, I believe so.
Yeah.
Hottest day since the Earth was birthed in the sun.
That
Pretty
makes
positive.
sense to me. That's how it happened. We came out of the sun.
I'm positive. Pretty positive.
I watched a video about it.
So
Private
this-
browsing only.
This is the Earthening Part 2, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, like, while Ghostbusters itself, we've kind of played that out. We've moved on to the remakes in general, because, like, there's so many remakes. Like, I've even heard that they were going to do a remake of UHF, that they were discussing
That's
doing
bizarre
that.
to me.
Especially since it's movies that aren't being, like, they're
That's
not exactly...
like Big Trouble, where it's like they're cult hits, but they're not the biggest cult hits ever. You know, like I feel
No.
like you have to be pretty in the know to even know UHF or Big Trouble. Like they don't really have the name recognition that you would expect from these sorts of remakes.
Yeah, and even the quote unquote big cult hits, like they're doing like a 4-part miniseries or something of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and it's on Fox. Or
Yeah,
FX
they're
or
doing.
something.
They did it last year with Grease. It's just like a live performance they do for 3 hours.
Okay, and people are just like fucking shitting all over it, and I don't understand why. Like the Rocky Horror Picture Show is one that could absolutely be redone,
I'm
be
really
a
looking
lot
forward
darker,
to it, yeah.
be a lot like better. They could do that with Little Shop of Horrors too. I'd love to see a dancing, singing plant again.
Oh,
I thought
man,
that would be,
they should
that'd be
do-
awesome.
I would
Revenge
kill
of the
for
Nerds?
more musicals. We should get one musical a year. I feel like minimum. We don't really.
No, well, yeah, it's certainly not like big ones, but
Well,
some
we-
musicals are like really, really good.
Yeah, the musicals we get are shit. I mean, the fact that
Pittsburgh was
Hairspray with John Travolta as a lady was a questionable choice altogether.
He went
That's-
too on food.
This was sort of a weird thing because that's a big thing in Hairspray that role is always played by a man,
Yeah.
but it's also a big gay role, and John Travolta is a Scientologist, and they're not super like
Well, see,
into
that-
homosexuality, even though John Travolta has been a rumored homosexual for decades. So there was this whole thing where people were upset that he was playing the role because he's not necessarily pro-homosexual. It's a very
That's-
an
that's-
iconic gay role to be the mom from I don't know her.
That's the
character's
point
name.
I was trying to make. Is
Yeah,
John Travolta
yeah.
specifically was a questionable one. I thought they could have gone with a.
Yeah, that was a remake too, obviously.
That was a remake, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
'cause,
Well, it started off as a stage play,
Yeah,
a
okay.
Broadway
I
musical.
think it's a movie first, isn't it? Because
I'm not-
there's an
I'm not
80s
sure.
movie and then it got.
Because I know that it's been a movie multiple times. I remember Mike from work was telling me.
I was.
I know the original actress that played the main role. That was like they had a contest and they had an open audition and she got it and became famous off it. I can't remember
Oh, cool.
what her name was, but
Hairspray was done in 1988, I guess.
How about that? Obviously.
Sonny Bono was in it. Deborah Harry was in it.
Oh, really?
Ricky Lake. Jerry
Ricky Lake's
Stiller.
the daughter.
Ricky
She's
Lake,
the main character.
Ricky Lake is doing it.
Tracy Turnblad, that's correct. Jerry Stiller is her dad. Vitamin C of the Graduation song was in it. I recall her being quite attractive.
Yeah, Ginger.
She
Rick
did,
Ocasek of The Cars is in it.
2000.
Was she?
Yeah, naked.
Oh, Josh Charles, the boss guy from The Good Wife, is in it.
I don't watch the good one.
You don't need to watch it; just know that he's in it.
Lost me.
Yeah.
If we're talking
John
remakes,
Waters. Okay.
we could easily get into the cartoon into real life remake, which you and I kind of discussed with Akira. But I mean, with all the Disney movies, they're doing all these like real
Yeah,
life
those
remakes
are
of
weird.
things. And that's a really tough thing for me because the Disney movies still draw. They
Yeah.
could just re-release the cartoon of the Jungle Book, and people would go see it in the theaters.
Yeah. Pete's Dragon seems like a good one to me because that's not a good movie to start with.
No,
It's kind of a fun concept, so that would make sense. Apparently, it's pretty good.
I've heard nothing really bad about it.
And that would make sense because it's a good concept and it's obviously like a somewhat iconic concept. Like you probably can picture the dragon at least somewhat in your head when you hear Pete's Dragon, but like no one really watches that movie and it's like a very dated movie. So I think that would make sense.
Yeah.
If I can interject here, I think we should probably draw this to a close. To anybody who's unaware, we've got 3 podcasts planned for today alone. We're covering so much in this first one. I don't want it. Not that we're going to be, but I don't want us to be dry by the third one. So rather than
I'm
us
never dry.
moistened at always.
I got some towelettes. It's okay.
But I think we should have some final thoughts on Ghostbusters. We'll draw this to a close. We'll get up, walk around the room, give high fives to the groundskeepers outside, and then we'll come back for another one. So final thoughts on Ghostbusters.
I feel like we barely talked about it, and that really is all you need to know. Is that it's really boring. There's not much to talk about. It's very forgettable. It's fine. It wasn't a franchise launcher.
It's true.
Unnecessary would be that would. Not saying it's good, not saying it's bad. I did enjoy it. I love being immersed in that same world of ghosts are around. They exist. You know, I was filled with warmth and emotion for the old Ghostbusters movies. I really enjoyed being in a world where these guys were fighting ghosts, and these ladies fighting ghosts brought all those same feelings. I just felt that it was just unnecessary because I can watch the original or even the Walking Statue of Liberty sequel. I could watch them and be filled with the same enjoyment, and they didn't say anything new. Yeah. So unnecessary.
Or play a video game or watch the cartoon.
Totally. There's more than enough outlets for Ghostbusters to be a thing. Yeah. This for the $140 million that could have gone to me.
Triple X4.
I know the
Triple X4, the Triple X-ing.
The IDW series is supposed to be very good, and it does the thing where it's like all one continuity. Like they have the Extreme Ghostbusters and they have like the cartoon Ghostbusters. And they'll go to the different realities and stuff. So don't read it, but apparently if you're a big ghost head, read that comic.
Now, as an aside, to close things out, do you guys know if they're gonna get the same voice who was Venkman in the cartoon and Garfield? Will he be voicing a character in the new Ghostbusters cartoon?
I think he's dead.
I thought the guy died.
He's dead.
That's
sure.
a no then.
Okay.
Lorenzo Lamas, I think.
It's not Lorenzo Lamas.
No,
it's Lorenzo something.
It's Lorenzo something.
Soil?
Lorenzo Soil.
Lorenzo
Brutal.
Soil and Green is people.
My final thoughts for the movie would be, I wouldn't say it was a waste of time or unnecessary. I enjoyed it. I think for people that really love women empowerment, you shouldn't see it because it really just beats women up the entire fucking time. Really difficult to do a remake/reboot of maybe the perfect horror comedy in existence, but
Can I make a unofficial plug/throw? There's a YouTube video where a guy dissects the first Ghostbusters from 1984.
do you have sources?
And I will get you the sources while I speak. He specifically calls it out as being the perfect movie. And
a lot of people say that about Ghostbusters, and a lot of people say that about Back to the Future.
Now, Back to the Future. I think we should be doing a podcast at some point to speak of that. Back to the Future. There is there's a theme. I believe it's called a chiasmus. Is the book term? What it means is that everything that happens from the start of the movie, moving forward, up to the center of the movie, of the trilogy rather, is reversely repeated. So, for example, the first thing that happens would be A. Then the last thing in the movie would be an exact mirror of A. So it goes A, B, C, all the way through, and then once it reaches that center focal point, it reverses it. So it is the perfect movie, the perfect trilogy, and that's what this term is, a chiasmus, I guess.
See, that doesn't seem to make sense to me, because he finds his girlfriend on the porch at the end. He does that at the start of the second movie, not at the start of the first movie.
No, he finds her on the porch at the end of the third.
Yeah, but he doesn't find her on the porch at the start of the first movie. He leaves her at the start of the second movie.
It doesn't have to be her. It's
he doesn't find anyone on the porch.
It's the theme. I think he
he goes and finds Doc Brown in the with all the alarm clocks. That doesn't happen at the end of 3.
I fucking wish it did. But there is a thing where there's a destroyed clock on the ground at the end when they hit the car.
I thought it ended with doesn't he wake up Jennifer and then Doc shows up with the train?
No, at the end of the third one, they stop on the train tracks and they get out, both of them, think it's.
Oh yeah, because he doesn't do the chicken thing. See, that's what I mean. The
Yeah.
whole chicken thing's not in the first movie, so how could it really?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of, like, it's obviously not, like, a shot for shot, but, like, it's, like, there's a lot of
I would
similar
believe it's for
aspects of, like...
the second and third movies, that seems to make more sense to me. The first one doesn't really seem to fit that, in my opinion. But I haven't seen this video, obviously.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of things that go on with it. So before you find the source of that, I liked Ghostbusters. You know, like, there was obviously a lot of problems with it, but I could glaze over them. I thought they were entertaining. The effects were really, really good. I didn't really get into it, but I thought the effects of the ghosts were, like, too good. I thought they were really crisp, and I would have liked them to be, like, kind of grainy and look a little...
They should have been more interesting designs for the ghosts.
Like,
they were just like, they were like
type
Scooby-Doo ghosts.
They really were.
It was like literally a glowing green pterodactyl, which is like the main bad guy in Scooby-Doo 2.
Yeah. So Monsters Unleashed?
Monsters Unleashed.
Yeah.
Good movie.
It was a good movie.
You know that James Gunn, I think he directed both of them, I think.
Really?
And he said that gave him a lot of help for Guardians, because he'd already worked with a CG character.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That makes sense why he got that movie, too. Because he'd already done big budget.
Mm-hmm.
He might have just written them. I think he directed both of them.
But I mean, if he had anything to do with the casting, it was flawless.
I mean, oh my god, what's his name? The guy who does
Matthew
Shaggy. Yeah, he does the voices in all the cartoons now.
Yeah.
He is Shaggy, and
100%.
he's the official Shaggy and Scooby.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. Did you find it yet?
I certainly haven't, but what I'll end up doing is I'll throw to it in another podcast so we don't drag this out. But suffice it to say, there is a video on YouTube. It dissects the movie in about 38 minutes, and it goes through and explains why it is the perfect movie. I will. I'll bring it up next time, but I think we can draw this one to a close.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to podcast number 3, number 4 coming at you. Well, sooner rather than later.
Cookies.
Excelsior.